Melania was a model from Eastern Europe who was brought to the United States, who would attend these parties where the rich men would show up and mingle with the model. Right now, Russia, it's weaponizing Melania's past. I don't know if you know this, but on Russian TV, they frequently show Melania nude in order to mock Donald Trump. Donald Trump went to a club in Manhattan called the Kit Kat Club, where there were parties that were frequently thrown for very rich Manhattan elites, businessmen.
2 minutes ago, Russian TV decided to play Donald Trump's least favorite clip on repeat, and it wasn't one of his rallies. Nope, it was Melania. In photos she once said she was fine with, now used as ammo to poke right at the Trump brand's weakest spot, the contradiction between image and reality. Why would a foreign news channel drag out decades-old modeling shots now? Stick around, because the images weren't just about skin, they were about exposing cracks in the empire Donnie swears is solid. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Melania, Donald Trump's dark past, it's resurfacing in ways it's his worst nightmare. She was treated like a genius, an exceptional achievement visa that gave her a fast track to become a United States citizen. Donald Trump's out there doing that. And then Donald Trump's out there going to these parties at the Kit Kat Club to meet. This is separate than what I just said. This is separate. He's just going out there to meet, these young models.
What if I told you the clip causing Trump's latest tantrum started at a Manhattan party with live tigers in the decor? Yeah, actual tigers. It was 1998 at the Kit Kat Club, the kind of place where velvet couches, endless champagne, and random predators, both the furry kind and the human kind, were just part of the vibe. Paolo Zampoli, the modeling agent with a Rolodex full of wealthy men and Eastern European models, invited Melania. That's where she met Trump, who was doing what he does best, scanning the room like a game show host picking contestants. The crowd was a strange soup of Wall Street money, fashion names, and people who, years later, would be whispered about in stories involving Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. It wasn't just networking. These circles shaped the Trump brand before it was plastered on skyscrapers and reality TV.
Melania's previously made posts about how proud she is of her nudes, but did you know that after Donald Trump and Melania met, she got what was called an Einstein visa? So Donald Trump goes to the Kit Kat Club, and let's just see the story as reported by the New York Times about how Donald and Melania met at the Kit Kat Club. So Donald Trump meets Melania at the Kit Kat Club, and then they develop a relationship with each other, and then let's talk about what happened.
Standing there that night, Melania was one of many who could have been cast in what looked suspiciously like a reality show audition, except this one eventually ended in the White House. Russian media loves this origin story, but not for nostalgia. They use it like raw meat, editing it into something between a soap opera and a political takedown. The same glamorous photos and modeling shots that Trump once used as proof of style are now being looped with ominous music under headlines about the real Trump family values. The point isn't the nudity. It's the symbolism, how the images clash with the brand they've been selling to voters. And in the middle of their latest broadcast, Russian anchors smirked and called it a glimpse at the real Trump family values. On their screens, the public facade looked flimsy.
When he met London model Anushka DeGiorgio at a party in Manhattan. Several American millionaires already had their eyes on Anushka, but she was there with Robert Maxwell's daughter, Ghislaine. In 1997, he's out there partying with Epstein and Ghislaine. Melania arrived in the United States from Slovenia in 1996 for modeling work, and then she obtained her green card around 2001 based on her extraordinary ability as a model.
But Melania's climb from that party to becoming First Lady didn't just run on charm or romance. According to them, the next chapter involved a very specific visa that still leaves people asking how it happened. How does an immigrant First Lady get the genius-level visa usually reserved for top scientists, and then stand next to a husband blasting immigration? That's the question Russian TV shoved in Trump's face this week, and they didn't exactly go for subtlety. The EB-1, sometimes called the Einstein visa, isn't your average green card. It's meant for Nobel Prize winners, groundbreaking researchers, Olympic athletes, the kind of people whose resumes make you feel lazy just reading them. Yet in 2001, it somehow went to Melania, who at the time was a mid-tier model from Slovenia with a decent portfolio but nothing like a Fields medal hanging on the wall. The contradiction writes itself. On one hand, Trump was railing from campaign stages about ending chain migration.
How did Donald Trump meet Melania? On or around the same time he was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. This is 1997. How sweet! Trump's Brit of all right. Just weeks after ditching his second wife, America's best-known billionaire Donald Trump has fallen under the spell of a 20-year-old English girl. This was before Melania. They were linked by someone named Paolo Zampoli, who's become an ambassador under Donald Trump, a high-ranking government official.
On the other, Melania later sponsored her parents to become U.S. citizens through that exact process. That's like preaching a vegan diet while running a steakhouse. You can do it, but people are going to notice the smell of ribeye. Immigration attorneys will tell you EB-1 visas for models are about as common as spotting Bigfoot at a bus stop. They exist, but they're rare, and the documentation required is intense. That's why foreign media, especially the Russian outlets, treat this story like narrative gold. It's easy TV, because showing hypocrisy works faster than trying to explain a complicated policy argument. One Russian segment even cut old footage of Trump promising to tighten immigration laws right next to a glossy slideshow of Melania's early shoots and a timeline of her visa and her parents' citizenship. Then they zoomed in on Trump's face in campaign clips, like he'd just bitten into a lemon. It's the kind of public embarrassment that doesn't need a lot of explanation. According to insiders, Donnie was furious, because it wasn't about policy, it was personal. And the next hit in their montage wasn't about visas at all. It was about whether Melania's loyalty was closer to a prenup clause than undying love. The photos, the fancy visa, the double standards, none of this is just gossip. It's ammo in the kind of political theater where a personal timeline becomes a campaign ad without asking your permission. Russian TV isn't Jay,